Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this big, beautiful blue planet, bopping around in the universe, rotating around the sun, unless you're a flat earth person. So there you go. I don't know anything about flat earth. All I know is that they think the earth is flat. And they have their different reasonings. Anyways, won't even go into that. Because I don't even know how to explain it if I did. So just saying. So, today, what a day, what a day, what a day. Um, Hello, Charlene. Alrighty, what is it? Well, what can I say? It's not a bad day. It's not a bad day. But people are going to be feeling exhausted, overrun, and it's only Tuesday. But the thing is that you got to understand is that time, in essence, is really going to start not making sense, or it's not going to even, if as I said the other day, it's like if you're trying to get everything done by Friday to have a good weekend and not be where you have to be or be in the moment that you have to be in, then you're going to find it's going to be a little bit difficult to do what you have to do because everything's going to be feeling a little bit you know uh frustrating is a good word. Frustration. uh because it is frustrating, and if you are trying to push the limit to things and trying to push over the limit, um it's going to be frustrating, and you're going to find yourself in an entanglement. We're in Aquarius energy, and Pluto's in Aquarius. We're not in Capricorn anymore, where it's push, push, push. Aquariuses work differently. Like the Aquarius energy is totally different in its working. It's really, if you want to get down to the bullshit of humanity and the crap that's going on with humanity, then we're going to be seeing it. If you're wondering if the United States is going to hit Iran this week, we're probably going to see it this week. This is Here we go. We're we're in full throttle, baby. Full throttle, all planets ahead. Yeah, it's wonderful energy. It's great that, let's get things done, but we really have to learn how to pace ourselves. And we really have to understand that we can't overdo the energy and jump the gun. And especially when we have a Mercury, well, Mercury's going to be there, but Mars is coming up and conjuncting Pluto in Aquarius. And again, that's later on this week, but that's really starting to put fuel to the fire of the energies that are going on. So it's really, really important to learn how to pace yourself. And if you're not learning how to pace yourself, if you're really trying to push too far or push too fast, and I just feel like it's just a big slap in the face, when you're trying. So honor yourself. And there's a lot to do with relationships, and especially, we have that Chiron coming up to the North Node in conjunction, and it's going to be there for a while, right? And of course, Aquarius is going to be squaring it. And then we have the moon this week going into Scorpio. That's going to really, and Pluto's the dispositor of of Scorpio. So it's really about being truthful. And and then of course, the moon's not there yet, but when the moon does get there, it's really about this honoring of who we are and the boundaries and the relationships that we have. And this is even about, even if you think you know it, you probably don't even know it. And even coming up with values, even though you think you know somebody and their values, you're gonna find that you probably don't. There's gonna be some shockers when it comes to relationships where you thought you knew somebody or you knew that person. It's like this is an extreme, but those people who live next door to the mass murderers or and stuff like, "He was such a nice guy. I never suspected that of him." And there he is, bodies piling up in the backyard. Didn't the smell get to you? But that's the thing. It's like there's gonna be shockers that are going to come up out about not only personal relationships, but even with relationships that are, you know, in the forefront in the news. We're not in normal times. I mean, you just look around. We are not in normal times, and things are the intensity is going to start, especially as we creep early, into the week. We're going to be feeling that intensity. Yeah, we have that beautiful trine with Venus and Jupiter, and and Venus disposits um, that area of the chart and wanting to expand things and make things and create things. But if we are overextending ourselves in trying to create and make these things without utilizing what we do have and creating with what we do have, it's where it just may not work. If we're I just feel like if the overextension is really very important. If you haven't started prepping, you should have started yesterday. You know? I mean, when you have when you have the UN, which a bunch of bollocks in there, and ones out of that don't usually say anything start to tell you you better start prepping. Well, I've been telling you this since 2017, 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021. And it seems like an old hat, but that's what when you start to read the energies and you start to feel the energies, then you got to really start to pay attention. When when they're starting to tell you about, and I'm not taking sides on this, but even when they start telling you about the Gaza Strip and we and everything about there, and um these are the same guys that promoted the elixir, okay? So you're going to believe them with everything that they're coming down the chute telling you about it? And many people, and I'm not, there's good and bad on either side. I get it. But the thing is that when they're really, you know, backing this area or wanting to back it or trying to look like the good guy with all of this, there's something more at play here. There's something more at play. And when you look at it, there's something more, it just deeper. And I'm not trying to play sides with one or the other, but you just start to see things that are very cynical. And and when you start seeing a lot of the cynical things that are coming out, it is interesting how, you know, people just sort of ignore it or don't do anything. There was a video that went viral, and it was on Rebel News too, and it was in Montreal where mass was being said. Mass is a Catholic thing; they call it mass, and there was a mass, and people were there, and they were, the priest was up on the altar, a Muslim guy went in there with his little carpet and started to pray in front of the altar, like and this other influencer was there filming it to see what would happen, right? To see what would happen. Mass continued and they ignored him, which was, but it's disrespectful. Like, that's the other part too, is that you're going to start seeing the disrespect. And that's where, people are going to get a little bit infuriated about it. Like, you wouldn't do that in a synagogue, and you wouldn't do that in a temple or, or in their place of worship where you go in there and you start saying a full-on mass in the middle of in the middle of their temple. Of course not. Because that's just disrespectful, right? But this is, where I feel like there's a lot that's being played out here, and a lot of underhandedness that's being played out here, and this is where we really have to pay attention, and not to play into the rhetoric of all what's being pulled out here. I've I, um, I've had people say, "Well, nothing's happening down in Texas." I'm saying, "Great, nothing's happening down in Texas." But I'm just saying X marks the spot. I'm just going by the astrology and telling you that there's going to be some shit that's going to hit the fan soon. Whether you believe it or not, whatever, it's fine. And that Uranus energy is that you never know exactly what it's going to be. You might think and whatever you think, it's not going to be. That's the way Uranus is. Uranus is that wild card that comes in that really changes and flips things in a way that you're not expecting, in order to awaken you, to get you to see things more clearly. And I mean, this is what it does. And then we have, the energy coming in with Neptune. And the thing is with Neptune, any aspect with Neptune can change things, right? Right? I heard Russia will send troops to Texas. um, I don't know if you've ever met a Texan. I don't think they'd let a Russian in for Texas, but but that's the whole thing. You're going to hear a lot of shit. You're going to hear a lot of things that they're, but it's, a lot is going to be shown this week on stuff that's going to be happening. I really can't see the Russians coming into Texas. I think that's just funny. Because the Texans are American. Like, they are American as, they are all out there for the red, white, and blue, and that's the, you're going to hear a lot of things. It's just like, just sit back, be on your eagle's perch, watch how things are going to be unfolding, and not getting into the sides of things. And as especially as things unfold and as we get closer to the weekend, and we're going to be getting into the darker phases of the moon. So as we get into the darker phases of the moon, things get a little bit crazier. Chaos in London as Palestine activists take over the council chambers. Oh my God. So, I mean, yeah, this is the things that are, that we're going to start seeing. More chaos, more, this is why I say it's the year of the Kraken. And why did I say it's the year of the Kraken? Because you never know when the Kraken's going to come up and just pull you all down, and have you look at the world in a whole different way. And that's what's unfolding. And this year is going to be a constant year of that. This year is a year of a brutal change for all of us. And it's not just like, oh yeah, like how the Afghan war, yeah, we knew guys were going over there, but we never gave it much of a thought. We never gave it much of a thought, even with Vietnam. I don't think we really gave it much of a thought. Yeah, there was protests and draft dodgers and, the like, but we're on a whole different scale with this one, and with the world radically changing and transforming around us. And we're going to start, and this is like, I'm just saying, like, you're going to feel it this week. You're going to feel the radicalness of this week, and even of today, where it feels like, yeah, it's a great day. It feels good. And yeah, go with that beautiful feeling. But it is a day of great transformation that's coming forward for us to really look at things with new eyes and with fresh eyes, and really stand, on our eagle's perch, so we can have a better viewpoint and not just dive into everything that's coming in on us. especially with Uranus still, Uranus is going forward, but he's a slow moving planet and he's radical. And this is where I feel like things are full, that full speed ahead is not going to come for about, what is it, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, by Friday, by the weekend. And then that's when things get really radical, and we start heading into some unknown territories. This energy is a lot of these transits we've never felt before. They haven't been around for us to feel before. And this is allowing ourselves just to, be kind to ourselves, be kind to those around us, to take a moment and allow for this energy to integrate, so that we are able to move in a more understanding way. This is, Aquarius deals with people. It deals with foreign governments. It deals with, how we communicate with the people around us, and bringing that communication in is key. And it's understanding one another. So, this is where a lot of miscommunications can come in. So really just sort of maybe repeating back to others, just taking our time with things and not overstretching our hand at this time. Um, there's just some volatility that I can feel that is about to erupt. And it is going to be, as I mentioned to somebody, inscription, I could just see something happening, this year. I don't know when, but I just feel something like that's gonna happen this year in Canada, definitely. Um, they're going to be building up um, our troops, and the thing is that, a lot of people have said, "Oh, well, Pierre Poilievre's gonna," no, Pierre's gonna be on the side where the war is happening. Like, he's gonna be on the side where Canada is going to be in. I mean, that's what the politician, even though he might not agree with everything that's going to go on or how the money's distributed and et cetera, but he is going to be on board with it, and how it's going to be unfolding. And we're, you know, the reason why we're being taxed to death is because they're wanting that money. They're wanting the money to build up things and to pay for Pierre Trudeau's vacations. You know, have to pay for them. God help us that he doesn't get them. It feels like, the kings of old, that you're taxed to fucking death so that they can go have, plush toilet paper to wipe their asses with. And this is this is, where we are at right now. So, a couple things to do. Take your time with things. Honor yourself with the energies that you're feeling. It's exhausting. It's funny because when we dropped off Mateus, Steve has the group that he goes and talks to. Anyways, he goes, all of them were so tired today, and it's only Tuesday, right? And it's like, oh, I'm just so exhausted. I don't know what's going on. I just, just to get everybody out of bed, get everybody going. It's just, you feel like you're dragging your feet. And, even for me, thank God I set the alarm to get up at this early this morning, but it was like me getting up. It's like a little meme I posted with the little girl with her hair all over the place, and she's like, "Oh, never mix your alcohol." Here's me. He's like, "Oh man," you just felt like you just went through a warp energy. And this time lapse has come in, and the time lapse is this continually changing with the multi-dimensional frequencies that are inundating us in so many ways, and changing the frequency of how we do things. So our thoughts become things. So remember that. Remember how, if you be conscious of what you're thinking. If you're thinking, fuck him, goddamn asshole, blah, blah, blah. Well, you're putting that out into the atmosphere. You're putting that out there. That's a spell. So really being cautious with what you're saying. It's like, okay, yeah, okay. Instead of say, fuck me, bless me. change it around a bit and start to, and this is a conscious decision that needs to be made because we are in air energy, and air energy is the mind and the ego. And what are the words that you are saying? Aquarius energy is very precise in what they are saying. They are the scientific brain, so they are very, very precise in how they say things, and they are very literal with what they are saying. They can be literal, but there could be nuances within their literal speak, their word, that can add different nuances to it. It's not like Gemini energy. Like, Geminis will come in and they're like, blah. There's no like little nuances with that or what have you. I mean, they're going to just like throw up all over you and say what they need to say. That's the other thing, that with them. And then Libras are going to try and just balance everything out in some kind of way and stuff. I just got massive UPS layoffs are coming in. So there's so a lot of UPS workers are going to get laid off. That's coming from a client from the States. So, I mean, that's, so this is the other thing. It's like layoffs are going to be happening. Things are, we're going to have a very, this year, a very stressed out economy, even though that they're saying that, oh, well, we have no workers and stuff. And the reason why they're bringing in the mass, immigration of illegals is because they need people to work, but there's not going to be any jobs for them. Usually the entry jobs for people that when they're entering a country are not high-end jobs, unless they're coming in with a hell of a lot of fucking money and that they can pay to get their degree and whatever else. But they're usually cashier jobs. They're jobs that are entry level, and there's nothing wrong with it, with those types of jobs. I've done them all my life, right? But when you're and I've worked with many people who were new into the country. Yeah, but sometimes they're not being honored. They can come in with a fake certificate, but they can't be a doctor. Well, they might be, but if they're found, I mean, they won't be passed by the board unless they have mass amounts of money. So, well, we'll see. So we'll see how that happens. That's my husband in the background who's arguing with me, or pointing, not arguing. He's just letting me know. But that's that's the whole thing. Is like, when I worked at Target, when it was in Canada here, one of the cashiers that I worked with, she was from Syria, but she was a Christian. She said when ISIS came into Syria and started to take over, the first things that they did was get rid of all the Christians. Anybody who was a Christian, and it was the Christians, the Jews could not hold positions of teaching, could not hold positions in government, could not hold any type of position that has to do with education or political power. Her father was a professor at the university for years and had tenure there. She was a teacher, and her husband worked at I don't know, he was an engineer or something. So they had very good jobs and they lived very nicely, right? Educated. But she said they had to leave because they had no income. They had nothing was there for them, and they had to they left to go into refugee camps. Now that when I worked there, so you got to look at about 2014 when I worked there. So that's the types of things that you see coming. But you got to that's like 9 years ago. 9 years ago. So it took, from 9 years, and then they started to go after because they're a radical Muslim group, on how their Sharia law works, how women dressed. If you look at women in Iran back in the 70s. You get pictures from back in the 70s and that they were a very progressive country, you know? A lot of the Middle East was very progressive, very out there, very, motivated and doing things. And then the radicalism started to sleep in. We're seeing that within our own country. And, that's what Tucker Carlson was saying. Canadians have to wake up because there is this radical energy that's coming in and it seeps in and it seems like it's okay. But then all of a sudden, what you're going to find is that you can't find a job. You're not allowed to work. You don't meet the qualifications, even though you might meet the qualifications, but there might be something there that they don't like, whether you are a Christian, whether you are a Jew, whether you wear your hair too short, too long, too purple, too pink. You got to think about that. That's the way that they work. They don't allow people to be different. Remember, Aquarius, a lot of people think Aquarius, everybody has to be the same and we all come together. Well, you're going to see a push of that radicalness. That's the opposite side of Aquarius that pushes the crazy radicalness that, you got to be all the same. You all got to dress the same. You all got to, look the same or whatever it is so that everybody follows the rule. Everybody follows that rule. That's communism. That's fascism. That's Marxism. Follow the rule. Do what I say. That's it. I get to go on the vacations. I get to go over here. I get to have this thing, but you don't. Because you're under my rule. I say. And people get oppressed and people like, okay, all right, I don't want anything bad to happen. And they do it in a very, they've learned over time to do this in a very, condescending, narcissistic way by telling you, we're doing it for your own good. We want you just to, behave yourself. And, I don't want you to hurt yourself or hurt others. You don't want to hurt grandma, do you? So they do this in a way that makes you look like you're being the bad person. You're not allowed to be that individualism. That's the type of energy that's coming in to awaken us to say, be the bright star, be the beautiful person you are. Allow yourself to be radical. If you want to have pink golden hair, have pink fucking golden hair. That makes you feel great. My dad had pink hair, pinkish purple hair, but I don't think he realized that it was the dye because he kept on trying to dye his hair because he was going gray. He was gray. He's in his 80s. Like, for fuck's sake, Dad. But anyways, his hair would be pink and we just like, Dad, what dye are you using? Well, I've always used this one. I don't understand why it's doing this. That's just what it does because your hair is gray, Dad. It was hilarious. Or women used to have the blue wash, right? So, I mean, this is the wake up. But many of us, we don't want to wake up. We don't want to fight. We don't want to say anything. We want to be compliant. We just want to go off and live our life. Just do what we always did. But here it is that, and I got like this Thundercat coming in. Thundercat. Anyways, coming in saying, no, you can't do this anymore. You can't go here anymore. You can't do that anymore. You can't say that anymore. You can't wear that anymore. And it's funny. It's like everybody wants Canada to have the election this year. There's no bloody way he's going to have the election this year. He's not going to call anything probably officially till the end of the year. And by that time, we're going to be in the thick of things. So things can get changed. Remember that. Things can get changed. So there's a radical shit that's going to be happening in Canada that's going to wake us the fuck up. Because we tried it gently, but there's going to be a radical energy and it's going to come in. And even though things are going to be hitting the fan with the government overreaching, the government was overreaching. Okay, the government was overreaching, but he's still in power. Interesting. Yeah. The craziness that's going to come forward. Let's see what's coming in. Stability. That's what we want. We want the stability. We want to have the things that are good for us. We want to have that stability. But what's not allowing us to have is that we have the water element. So water and earth are very nice. They can be very fertile. They can grow a lot of things. But you got to understand, you got to trust, like there's a sensing of the stability. There's a sensing, there's something there that's coming in that we have to really look at, and the card for that, well, for the water one, the card is the Ace of Cups, so something new. So that's the Ace of Pentacles. So there's a lack, with the Ace of Cups could be a lack of energy too. Something that's not, allowing us to move. So maybe there is too much earth. There's just too much of saying it has to be this way, but also with that ace is also becoming organized. How are you becoming organized in your life? How are you becoming structured in your life? Maybe we need to have some sort of organization that needs to come in and accepting the responsibilities that we need to accept to bring in that stability. So how are you accepting the things in your reality? How are you accepting those around you? And when it comes to relationships and in that movement. So how are you, me, you, all of us doing that? Your intellect may be confused, but your emotions will never lie to you. Let me repeat that. Your intellect may be confused, but your emotions will never lie to you. So listen to what your body's saying. You know what to do, but sometimes we get confused or we feel we're confused, but we're not. We just don't like the answers that are coming forward. We don't like the idea that our government is unstable. We don't like the idea that things aren't working the way that we want. Something that Danielle, our premier, said, and it had to do with Freeland and how she, she actually complimented her, which is fine, but said how she was so helpful to the Albertans and stuff. That scared me. For whatever reason it did. It just scared me because I don't trust that woman. But, that's just the way it is. And the fourth house. So the fourth house, if we look at what the fourth house is, Virgo. So again, we have more earth coming in. Fourth house is roots, looking at the roots that we have to place down. What roots are you placing down? Are they the roots that you want to place down? Are they in the place that you want them to be? Is that where you want to be? Is that, is this the place that you want to be? It's the Four of Cups. 3 cups ahead of you, 1 cup in the air. So what is it that you aren't accepting? What are we not accepting? Right? This is where it's like, we got to look at things, the leaks and the damages and things that are there. We have to look at, what is holding us back? What is holding us back? I should say the fourth house is it's Cancer, not Virgo. Sorry. I had it wrong in my head. But it's Cancer. So Cancer is the water. It's that stability. Are we working with what we need to work with and paying attention to what it is that we need to work with? That's the whole thing. Is it centered and grounded, but always likes to hide away. So is there something that we're hiding that has to do with the values and everything else that's coming forward? There's a lot. I feel like it's just a week with the water energy coming in, with looking at how we are maintaining what we need to maintain and what we have to let go of. What is that we have to let go of so that we can move forward? If we're, in a way that we need to move forward. It is interesting, how things are going to change. When it comes to a lot of things to do with, like, I'm going to be doing a market in February, and it'll be interesting to see how people are, how people are spending their money. That's the thing. I think things like, a lot of people are going to be very conservative in how they're spending their money as it's coming up, especially this year. And then going into next year, I'm not even sure how it's that's a whole nother kettle of fish next year when we're really in the thick of things, right? And it takes a while to clear out of that. It takes a while for things to start moving again, and that won't probably be till 2027. But still, it's just we're in the throes of it right now, so it's like not knowing that there is light at the end of the tunnel, but knowing that we have to deal with what we have to deal with now is very important, and, just not get delusional and crazy about it. Anyways, I gotta get going. We will talk to you guys soon. May the Lord and Lady watch over and bless each and every one of you. Stay safe. See everybody.